The Western Roman Empire, and indeed the idea of Rome itself, officially ended in 476 AD. Odoacer, a Germanic leader, deposed the last emperor of Rome, Romulus Augustulus. This event carried a certain irony, as the final emperor's name echoed both the city's founder Romulus and its first emperor Augustus. Meanwhile, the Eastern Roman Empire, known as the Byzantine Empire, remained formidable for another 1,000 years. By 476 AD, Rome had changed significantly from its original form, even while the empire was still relatively stable, 100 years before. The glory days of the empire spanned from the reign of Trajan, 98 AD, to that of Marcus Aurelius, 180 AD. However, Rome was not always an empire. It was once a republic. Some historians consider the fall of Rome to have occurred when Julius Caesar was declared dictator for life in 44 BC, or when the Republic officially fell a few years later. Rome's identity and its ideals, diligence, discipline, and unwavering determination defined its people, territories, traditions, and the city itself for centuries, as it rose from a small settlement on the banks of the Tiber River. The goals of a society might change, but if the intention changes too, can it still be considered the same? From a mosquito-plagued village on the river Tiber, Rome grew to become the ruler of Italy, the dominant force within the Mediterranean, and eventually the vast empire we know today, spanning 3 continents. This success was not merely a stroke of luck. The Roman people were incredibly hard-working, disciplined, and tenacious, never willing to surrender. The conquest of Italy, including the long struggle against the Latin League, took considerable time and effort. Similarly, their conquests in the Mediterranean, most notably against Carthage, faced numerous setbacks. The city was often on the brink of collapse, such as when it was sacked by the Gauls in 390 BC, when it faced superior Greek forces under King Pyrrhus, and when it suffered devastating losses in the Punic Wars. At one point, after the Second Punic War, Rome had lost a worrying portion of its male population. Remarkably, the Roman Republic, yes, Rome was still very much a republic during these times, emerged even stronger after each conflict. This resilience and capacity to recover and grow more powerful were early signs of a growing superpower. The Punic Wars and the utter destruction and annexation of Rome's ever-present rival, Carthage, had profound consequences for the Republic. The spoils of war led to an increase in luxury and slave labor, benefiting only a portion of the population. Many small Roman farmers who had gone off to fight in the wars found their lands neglected or taken over by debt when they returned. This led to the consolidation of land into larger estates owned by wealthy elites who used slaves to work these lands instead of Roman citizens. After all, about 20% of the male Roman population was dead by the time Hannibal Barca was finally defeated. As a result, the farmer-soldier middle class began to disappear. As the Republic expanded, taking territories in Africa, Iberia, southern Gaul, Greece, and Asia Minor by 100 BC, the importance and status of military generals grew significantly over the last century, leading to a new power dynamic. Moving into the new century, the most profitable way to acquire wealth was to become a governor of a province, where the opportunities for exploiting resources and collecting taxes were plentiful. For example, when Julius Caesar became governor of the province of Hispania Ulteria, he was heavily in debt due to his previous extravagant lifestyle. However, through military campaigns, taxation, and the exploitation of provincial resources, he was able to repay his considerable debts in less than a year. Following Octavian's ascension as the first emperor, Rome officially transformed into an empire in 27 AD. In many ways, everything the Romans had done before, they now did even better. The bureaucracy was refined to govern foreign provinces more efficiently, infrastructure was built even faster, and Rome's borders were continuously expanded. However, corruption, a plague that had always weakened the Republic, persisted under imperial rule. The levels of intrigue and bribery varied significantly depending on the emperor. Under Augustus, the Roman Empire experienced the Pax Romana, a period of peace and prosperity. His reforms stabilized the economy, enhanced administration, and promoted vast building projects, restoring Rome's stability after years of civil war. Augustus carefully aligned his rule with foundational Roman values, yet this consolidation of power also marked a shift from the republican ideals of shared governance to autocracy. Following Augustus, the Julio-Claudian dynasty continued to consolidate power within the imperial family. Emperors such as Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero each contributed to the erosion of republican values. While Claudius worked to improve administrative efficiency and expand the empire, Nero's excesses strained Rome's resources and stability. The Flavian dynasty brought a temporary resurgence of order and prosperity, focusing on monumental architecture and military success. Yet, the underlying issues of succession and centralized power persisted. The five good emperors are often seen as a golden age characterized by capable leadership, military expansion, and economic growth. These emperors, from Nerva to Marcus Aurelius, prioritized the welfare of the state over personal power, briefly restoring some of Rome's republican ideals. However, except perhaps under Augustus, Rome was never greater. With the Severan dynasty, the empire became increasingly militarized. Emperors like Septimius Severus relied heavily on the army's support, undermining the Senate's authority. This period marked a shift towards a more autocratic and militaristic state, where the emperor was seen as a commander-in-chief rather than a first among equals. The 3rd century was a time of crisis for the Roman Empire, marked by internal strife, economic instability, and external invasions. The empire suffered from a rapid turnover of emperors during the crisis of the 3rd century, with nearly 50 claimants to the throne. This period highlighted the weaknesses of the imperial system, as power increasingly depended on military support rather than hereditary succession or senatorial approval. The loyalty of the Praetorian Guard became essential during this time. As the empire focused on survival and pragmatism, traditional Roman ideals of civic duty and senatorial governance gave way to defense and economic stability. Emperors like Diocletian implemented reforms to address these challenges, including dividing the empire into the tetrarchy to improve administrative efficiency and security. It was during this period that Rome's character began to change the most, yet there was still hope for revitalization. The reign of Constantine the Great marked another significant transformation. Constantine embraced Christianity, making it the state religion and a unifying force for the empire. This shift fundamentally altered the Roman identity, as Christian ideals of humility, charity, and spiritual salvation replaced traditional Roman values rooted in the pagan pantheon and civic duty. Constantine's establishment of Constantinople as a second capital signaled a focus shift from Rome to the eastern provinces. The empire gradually divided along these lines, leaving the Western Roman Empire increasingly vulnerable to internal decay and external threats. By the time of Romulus Augustulus, the last Roman emperor of the West, the empire's character had transformed beyond recognition. The Roman Empire had given Europe so much in terms of technology, society, and laws. Rome's original idea had always been to demonstrate superiority on one hand, while using foreigners to their advantage on the other. Many young men from provinces like Germania or Gaul served as auxiliary units to further expand the Roman war machine. Rome understood what needed to be done to maintain its strength, constantly adapting to new circumstances and struggles of the new age. Unfortunately, this would not last forever. Subsequently, many great empires claimed to be the successors of the Roman Empire, and modern societies are somewhat built on Roman law and language. This perhaps shows that, after all, some parts of Rome have survived to this day.